Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, or LastKnownShill, as popularly known, after the Cyberpunk 2077 came out, or even before Cyberpunk 2077 came out, because I was talking a lot about this game. I was called a LastKnownShill. So, from the Shill perspective, I wanted to talk about the future of CDPR and about the future of this company. Because it seems to me that a lot of people who do watch my content, who saw my review and everything, still believe that I believe that this game is without issues and without problems and this is the best game of all time. Absolutely not. Regarding the review, I still stand by what I said and experienced in my review, and at the same time, at the end of the review, I wasn't even scoring the game, I wasn't giving it a score, I wasn't telling you to buy it, to wait. You make your own decisions, and that's something that people need to learn. You make decisions for yourself. It's that simple. So what about the future of this company? Well, obviously, after Cyberpunk 2077 was released, there was a huge drama, a huge storm of just people being disappointed in the game and the studio. Obviously, the problem came the first moment I woke up. Because let's go back to the review cycle. I was one of the people who got the review for PC. I wasn't even thinking about the console versions. And that's, I think, on me, because this was somewhat the first time that I had a game, or well, a key, for a game of this size. And I wanted to be very careful not to breach any forms of NDA or anything which might get me in trouble, because I really wanted to make a good impression, a professional impression, not just the CDPR, but also to other companies that potentially want to give keys in the future for me to review. And I wasn't, and I think that was my mistake, I wasn't even asking for console versions of Cyberpunk 2077, but I was asking, even before the game came out, what is going on with the base version of PlayStation 4, because as soon as we got the Xbox gameplay, as soon as we got the PlayStation gameplay, there was the PlayStation 4 Pro gameplay and PlayStation 5. With Xbox, there was Xbox Series X and there was the Xbox One X, if I remember correctly, that they shown gameplay on. And I was saying like, okay, so what's going on with the base versions of consoles? And then they say like, oh yeah, it's running really well, don't worry about it. And I go into Cyberpunk 2077, like to review it, and I have fun in the game. Obviously there are problems which I talked about in my review, but I was genuinely having a blast playing the game. But at the same time, you have to realize I kept my hype levels at a normal. Because even though I talk about the game, even though I like the universe that Mike Pondsmith created, I was still careful around Cyberpunk 2077. So I go into a game, I have fun, I finish the game. I wasn't sleeping that much during that period, so I put out my review. And people like it, it was a good review. And then I go to sleep, I wake up, and then it's a shitstorm out there because people have been just going crazy. It's like the game is not running well, the game is crashing, it's doing this or that. And then I say like, wow, okay, so the console versions were just not finished. And that's when you get people saying like, oh, you're a shill, you didn't say those things, you hid those things. To be honest, if you do believe we have some sort of a internal information, no, we don't. CDPR is careful with everyone what sort of information they share, and that's not CDPR, that's every single studio out there. You're going to get an email saying, do you want to review the game? And you say yes or no. And no, there is nowhere in that contract or that review or NDA you sign where you have to talk only good about the game and you are not allowed to talk bad about the game. And I know what you're going to say, well, LastKnownMeal, we know that there is no money involved, but there are benefits which are involved because you're gonna be getting new keys, you're gonna be getting merchandise. To be honest, the only thing I got from CDPR was a bag of goodies all the way back when we were doing ARG. And besides that, the only thing I got from CDPR was the review key. I didn't get anything else. And when people ask me like, oh, you have all of these benefits, like, what benefits? And at the same time, look, if a company is going to blacklist me just because I talk about the problems that the game has, or if I talk about the issues that the company has, then fine. I'm no love lost if you go get me into a blacklist because I talk this or that about the game and the studio. I do try to talk about every single piece of criticism with respect, because insulting people doesn't get you anywhere. And the reason why I'm critical on CDPR but also praising CDPR sometimes in their games is because every company has a good and a bad side. Every company out there. And of course, I would be delusional if I said that Cyberpunk is good and it has no issues. Of course, Cyberpunk has issues. A lot of people were disappointed with the game. But it's also important to know that CDPR is a company that I've been following for many years, ever since The Witcher 1 came out. And if there was one thing that CDPR always wanted to do is make good games. And I still believe that CDPR is one of the good guys because they still haven't included the blight of the gaming industry, aka loot boxes, microtransactions, battle passes, booster packs, etc, that they want to squeeze more money out of you. So far, CDPR has not been doing it, especially in their single player games, and that's kind of a positive thing that kind of kept CDPR still, on the good spotlight, even with all of the drama and criticism and everything, which is definitely okay in my opinion, especially if you have a certain limit. Insulting developers doesn't lead to anything. You have to be like special to go and insult people who work on the game just because you didn't experience the game. Refund the game and that's it. It's that simple. If I don't like a car, I don't go into a Volkswagen company to go and yell at the assembly line workers. I don't do that. It's Jesus. And then you have all of these issues reflect to YouTubers because we're paid or anything like that. No, we're not paid. Jesus Christ. I do apologize. I digress. So to go back. So CDPR is, in my opinion, definitely going to update the game, and they're definitely going to try and give you the most polished experience out there that they can for their game. Now obviously all of those things should have been solved before, and I do believe that CDPR is in the part of their existence right now where you just need to stop. It's like, just stop. Just stop. Take a step back and let's see where we made all of those mistakes. What led to the release of Cyberpunk 2077 to be released in that state? What mistakes did we make as a company? Because there is only so many mistakes we can make before community doesn't completely abandon us and put us in the same group as everyone else, as Activision, EA, Ubisoft, etc, etc. And I'm sure that CDPR doesn't want to be in that group, and in my opinion, they are still not in that group. They're still not in the group of those companies which just want to take your money and squeeze every single penny out of you. But CDPR is far from being perfect, and this is going to be their defining moment. The update to Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk multiplayer, which I'm not gonna even go into because there are so many things that need to be solved before they even start thinking about the Cyberpunk 2077 multiplayer. Not just from the game formula side, but also from the security standpoint. CDPR was hacked, a week ago. And I'm gonna be really careful in the future asking them, okay, did you actually solve all of those security risks? Did you actually properly secure your company? Because in the future, and just think about it, you're going to be linking your PayPal account, you're going to be linking your credit card to Cyberpunk 2077 multiplayer or online. There is going to be some sort of a monetization out there. So now comes a very difficult question. You have to reinforce your security before people can actually give you their credit card numbers, etc, etc. Because for me personally, that is extremely important, because this was not the first time that CDPR was hacked. So it just shows you that there are many problems within the company that need to be solved. And once you solve the problems inside of your company, the product of your company, being Cyberpunk 2077, is going to be better. Because in my opinion, I do believe that the state of Cyberpunk 2077 as it was released is the state, sadly but currently, of CD Projekt Red. And its management needs to realize that problems happen and there is only so much that CDPR magic can do. One of the biggest problems, in my opinion, regarding CDPR is expansion. They expanded too fast, too quick, because every single company, and this is not just only tied to gaming companies, this is tied to every company which expands fast. A company which has success, and you have to expand your workplace, you have to buy new buildings, you have to employ more people, etc., etc., so you could create something else in the future which is going to be bigger and better than your previous project. And whenever you have a company expanding really fast, the middle management becomes a huge issue, and that's where you lose communication between the top brass, between the corpos, the middle management, and the developers. And if that line has issues, if that line is cut somewhere, you're going to result in a game like this, which has issues, which you can see that the game has many good things. You can see the passion behind the devs, but there was not enough time to properly polish that experience. And if you cannot polish that experience, everything you worked on, everything your developers worked on, the passion they put in, the talent, is not going to be noticed because of all of the issues. People cannot admire the city in 10 frames per second. It doesn't go that way. So again, I do believe in the future of this company. I do believe in the future of Cyberpunk 2077, but CDPR is at a crossroads right now. And it's going to be really interesting to see in what road they go in. Because the community doesn't forget, but they do forgive. Let's take a look at No Man's Sky. People do forgive. And I do believe that people are going to forgive CDPR, but there is no way you're going to have the same hype and you're going to have the same praise you had pre-Cyberpunk 2077. But again, mistakes happen, and you have to realize that sometimes a company which had an amazing game, it doesn't necessarily mean that their next game is going to be better or worse or anything like that. It's a next project, and ultimately people decide if a game was better or worse than your previous or your next or whatever happens. But the next game, the next Witcher they put out, I do hope, and I really do hope they learn from all of these mistakes so that The Witcher, a game they became famous for, doesn't suffer. So these were my honest thoughts about CDPR and the future of Cyberpunk 2077, coming from a CDPR shill. LastKnownShill, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to also tell me down below your thoughts on everything and what do you think about the future of this company. Do you think that there is future for CDPR? Do you think that there is no future for CDPR? I am interested to hear your thoughts down below. Also, check us out on Twitter and Discord, and I do have a Patreon page. If you're looking for an extra way to support the channel, you can do it through the link below. And huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.